Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Helen Marley. In this video, we are going to explore how to play a delicate, beautiful pianissimo sound with a very light touch. In the preceding videos, numbers 2 and 3, I talked about the all-important physical gesture of having students drop to the bottom of the keys and then rolling forward and off the keys, using their upper arm as a beautiful free arm to get a very nice fluid coordinated motion. This is also called playing with arm weight as well as a flexible wrist. I also gave you a really great practice strategy called the drip, drop, roll touch release physical gesture so that students of any level and of any advancement and any age can really feel good at the instrument. We know that technique is not about strengthening the muscles. It's about fluidity and coordination. It's about playing with a healthy and natural playing apparatus. And physical gestures are so important to teach because every physical gesture is connected with a different sound. So you might say, oh my gosh, my students play on a digital keyboard. They don't have any difference in sound. Well, if they play on a weighted keyboard, they are going to hear these different sounds. It also makes piano playing and piano practicing much more fun when the student understands that they're physically engaged in their playing. Also, some of you might be saying, I just care if my student can play the right notes at the right time. And of course, that's really important. But actually playing with good physical gestures helps our student play all the correct notes at the correct time. So I'm going to play for you 3 pieces. The first one is called Morning by Edvard Grieg, the great Norwegian composer. This one is arranged by Timothy Brown. It's a very early level piece. You'll notice that the second page is very similar to the first page, except there is a difference in dynamics, and the ending is different as well. So please watch me. When I play the very last notes, I'm going to play the teacher and duet parts together. What I do with my right and my left wrist and my arms. I also would like for you to really intensely listen to the sound that I create for the last notes. First of all, what was this sound like? I hope you thought that it was delicate, ethereal, wispy, light, and pianissimo. How did I achieve that sound? I dropped to the bottom of the key, and then what came off the key first? Well, we have to think about the wrist, right? In the basic drip, drop, roll motion, where students drop and then they roll forward and off the keys, that's a beautiful sound. This new physical gesture makes a quieter sound. The motion is slower into the key as well as the release of the key. I call this a new touch release called the tissue box. Let's say we're listening to something so beautiful and we start to get teary-eyed and we go to a tissue box and we pull slowly from the tissue box a tissue. And what comes up first? The wrist, doesn't it? I don't call this a floating motion. I definitely call it a tissue box because the height at which the student moves is very specific. They know how far they have to go in order to pull tissue out of a tissue box. So the next piece is called Shimmering Stars, and this one is by Edwin McLean. It's an elementary level piece, late elementary with 8th notes. And there are 3 places where I would ask students to use a tissue box touch release. And I'll guide my wrist with my other hand so you can see where they are. So in succeeding at the piano, students see little pictures or icons of Chopin pulling tissue out of a tissue box. Some of my students will say, aren't there other places where we can use the tissue box touch release? And I say, sure, let's go ahead and experiment. And they might want to do one here, and they might want to do one here, which is absolutely beautiful and lush. But the tempo then stops, right? So we want to make sure that our students always feel that nice forward direction of the line. One of my students, at the end of every piece that calls for a tissue box, he would play and then he would do this. he would just think it was so funny that he was imagining blowing into a tissue. There are so many sounds and colors to create from this wonderful imaginative piece. So towards the end of the work, we can use drip, drop, roll motions, and we can use tissue boxes for all of these variations of sound. Here's a tissue box. And another one in the left hand. And here's another one. Both of those touch releases are all over. Touch releases are physical gestures that create a desired sound. Each touch release feels differently in the body. Students can play every articulation written on the page when they choose to use different physical gestures, or what I call touch releases. There's freedom in the body when they are playing, and students play with confidence. They can play entire pieces in a musical manner, which means they're playing with artistry and what I call artistic personality. So on the next video, I think I'll just explore some more pieces that delve into the tissue box touch release, how it compares to the drip, drop, roll touch release, and when students can use either one of them.